get started.
Be like, yo, what's going on, guys?
Welcome to the C4 podcast. This is Christians interviewing Christians at a Christian camp. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Caleb.
And today we have Andrew with us.
I'm Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi.
Who are you?
I am Andrew Hullah, and my wife is Kelly Hullah, and my son is Parker Hullah, and I am the facility supervisor.
Awesome. Glad to have you with us.
Thanks.
How long have you been this facilities supervisor?
It is now 9 years. Yeah, 9 years, January 1st.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Also, almost a decade of being able to be here.
Very close. Very close.
What is that like? What has it been? Because there's been a lot of changes over the last 9 years.
There's been, yeah, new buildings, new stuff. Oh man, when I first got here, they were just finishing the chapel, and the year prior to that, they had just put in the pavilion. So that was all very new then, and since then we've had a pole barn. That's the newest building, but there's a lot of other newer stuff that you guys won't see.
Absolutely. And especially with all of these different changes and all these new things that have kind of come up and continue to come up, right? 'Cause there's still plans for more things to keep coming and more things to keep building.
Yes.
Needing somebody in charge and supervising all of those different things and helping to teach summer staff how to maintain things in the midst of the busyness, craziness of it all.
Yeah.
Need somebody strong at the ship, right? Somebody that has been there.
That would be helpful, yes.
Yeah. So thank you for coming in and being in that role and
You're welcome.
doing those things.
You're welcome.
With that in mind, because it's also Christians interviewing Christians at Christian camp, that means I assume that you've been a Christian. Awesome. How long have you been a Christian? What has that faith journey been like for you?
So that's a great question. Depends on when you want to count it. I will count it when I was 16. That is when I decided to get baptized. But my father was a preacher, so I grew up in the church. I'm a PK, preacher's kid. Whatever that might mean.
It means a lot of things.
Yes, it does. You understand.
I understand.
So 16, I decided I'm gonna go on this journey. It was I'll never forget it. It was at a barn storm in the Weldy's barns. Tommy Oakes, because I think JT is his son. Yeah, was preaching or speaking, and he's a very good speaker. He's actually, if you know this about him, he actually has a degree in storytelling.
Oh, wow.
He's one of the first people to have that, which he's a very good storyteller. But it was at Barnstorm, and he was just talking about stuff, and I was like, it's time. And pulled all the important people in my life aside, and we drove to the church, and we got baptized. And so that's when it was. So 16, so and I'm 38, so 22 years. I think I did the math right.
I hope so. I didn't pay the math budget.
Yeah, he's not mine for it. So yeah, 22 years and still growing.
I think that's the key word too, right?
Yeah.
Because we're all still growing through it. It's all still,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's not necessarily easy.
Yes. Absolutely. As we kind of get to know you a little bit better, do you have any hobbies?
This will be a great conversation.
Yes. Little sound up camp? Yes.
Yes,
Because camp is kind of my life.
100%.
Yeah.
Camp really could be a hobby. Like, that could just be the
It
hobby.
is a hobby for some, but when you work there and live there,
It's 24/7.
you need the hobby to get away.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I would say the number one hobby that I do, I want to say daily, but if you ask my wife, it'll be daily, is I game. I built my own computer and I game online with some friends. Really, it's just one friend. No, two friends. Let's not forget the other person.
Dakota Fudge, everybody.
it is Dakota and Leia. Leia, I game with her as well, which are former summer staff of mine. Um, if you want to game with me, sure, but I don't like to compete against other people. I work as a team.
Sure.
I'm too competitive, so it just doesn't go well. And I'm not that good. So,
That's why Madden is not a good game for
you
you.
know, and I'm not good at sports games. The only sports game I would be good at would be a tennis game. And well, that's another one because I like tennis.
Wii tennis.
That was fun.
If
Wii
you don't,
sports was fun.
if you don't know about the Wii, get a Wii. They're cheap now, kind of. Actually, some of them are still expensive
If it still work.
if they still work.
And I died. Isn't that sad?
My Wii still works.
Oh, I'm a little jealous. So,
It's funny.
seeing me. The second one is if you get a little insert of him throwing and stuff. I like to build Legos.
Yep.
That's a lot of fun. Oh man, that's a lot of fun. Never too old to play with Legos. Never too old.
It's true.
Um, uh, like to play games with my son sometimes because he's also a little ornery. His own thing, and but he likes to play the Lego games. And you play those, they're excellent. Good two-player games, especially for younger kids, because they cannot die.
Right?
Yeah, they just lose coins. Not just
And they don't care about the coins as much.
no, oh, they don't. It drives me bonkers. Drives me bonkers. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Cool kids. Let's see. Smaller would be I like to go to the movies with my wife. Um, probably not a good hobby, is I like to go out to eat. Which
Fair.
you can tell.
I can't.
Yeah, those are kind of the main ones. Sometimes I like little projects for myself. I think it's fun. So still hasn't worked out well, but like for instance, I've been trying to build a frame for some posters that I have
Okay.
and just cannot get the measurement right. I'm always off by like a quarter of an inch, and it's driving me bonkers. Um, but it's fun. It's fun to do. It's fun to you work with my hands, which is one I do what I do. But
There we go.
Yeah. 100%.
but those are probably my top hobbies.
Well, since it is, since it kind of goes along with the idea of it's what you do,
Yeah.
what does that average day kind of look like for you? Uh, I recognize that can look different between like in season with camp and out of season.
Okay.
Like I know that those are often a very extreme difference.
They are. So let's go with off season because that's the majority of the time.
Sure.
Um, Off season, I typically work 9 to 5 during the day. Um, and that just, oh man, it still includes a lot of the stuff I do with summer.
Mhm.
Just, it's me and the four others. We'll clean one day a week to clean the buildings, the four of us. And yeah, but it's really, I still mow. I still get the mowers ready to mow. I'll fix anything that needs to be that's broken and needs to be fixed. Um, it's just a little bit more lax than it is in the summertime. But that's a typical day. I'll get up. Nice thing with working where you live is literally I step out the door and I'm working.
Sure.
So it's also not necessarily a great thing sometimes too.
Yes.
Because people can find me. Which is not terrible, but
It's great on the gas mileage, though.
that's true. It's true. It's true. Usually go to town once a week. Oh, that's the other thing forgot to mention in hobbies. Very big one.
Like comics?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot that.
Oh, buy me toys.
Yes. So I enjoy comic books.
Yep.
And I collect comic books. And I go, it's a tradition with my family.
Is it every Sunday?
Wednesday.
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 That's New Comic Book Day.
New
Right.
Comic Day.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday. I mean, even before we moved here, uh, Helen and I would go to the comic book store. We'd also go to Chick-fil-A, Lord's Chicken, and uh, and then also get ice cream. It's our Wednesday date night.
Yeah.
And now that we live here, since we're kind of out in the boonies, we also go get our groceries that day as well. So we make a day trip into town. But yeah, I can't forget that. I collect comic books. I'm really excited for C2E2 coming out in April. And I'll probably be there at least a day, if not the whole weekend. I have to talk to my wife about that.
Fair. It's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the other questions. I can't believe I forgot that one. Um, that is a typical day, 9 to 5. Um, it's hard to say as far as like what I do regularly because it's always changing because stuff's always breaking.
Yep.
Grass is always needing being mowed and just other things like that. So I can't give you that's basically what it is. Like
Yeah.
9 to 5. Things that I will do regularly is every Tuesday we have a staff meeting, but also after the staff meeting, we clean the dining hall as the four of us in the chapel. And then I have a housekeeper who cleans the cabins and the lodges for me. So that's nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's pretty standard about every day. And then on Fridays, or when we have a retreat group coming in, because sometimes they come in on Thursday and throw us all for a loop because it feels like a Friday then. But on Fridays, I will get things ready for groups. So I will open up cabins, turn on heat, hot water, and everything like that to get it ready for them and blow off porches. That's a pretty regular thing. Other than that, it's what I'm trying to work on. Like I just came from trying to work on the shop. My system that I had for thermostat controlling the heat in there, it fried on me. So I'm working on a new system and I have a better system. I have to wire it up.
Sure.
So now summertime. Summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Summertime is basically starts on Sunday.
Yep.
And it starts on Sunday around 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 if we're later in the summer and we're not needing to meet as much as a full-time staff. But it'll start at 3 o'clock. We'll have a quick meeting. And then summer staff will come in. We'll have another meeting to get them caught up. And then we'll get ready for registration. And Sundays are pretty lax for the maintenance crew. I do that intentionally. Otherwise, you're working 6 days a week and you're burnt out. But Sundays, really, all I require of my staff is to do registration, like everybody. Which, if you haven't done registration, it's changed over the years. Actually, the past 3 or 4 years, we do a drive-through registration now instead of inside. I miss the inside because I typically did the financial table and I missed the air conditioning.
Yes.
First world problems. But Sunday, all I have my crew do is basically get ready for Monday, which is do registration, tear down registration, get the dining hall ready for the meal the next morning, and then fill campfire and set up tables for pictures.
Sure.
And that's pretty much it for Sundays. Now, rest of the week, there's going to be differences and other things like that. But it's a typical day for maintenance, or for me, is breakfast. They start at breakfast. And then every day the maintenance staff will sweep after every meal and take out trash if it needs to be taken out after every meal. And spot mop, depending on how bad it is. If there's any spills and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then we will Mondays and Tuesdays we will work on projects that I have. Just trying to get just like I said before, things that are broken, things like that. And usually, sometime in between there, I'll get a call from someone on the radio needing something. So
Yep.
I'll have to go do something else.
Mhm.
That's the fun thing with carrying a radio in the summertime. Um, and then other regular thing is after lunch, we will clean the bathroom, lobby bathrooms once a day, and mop them. And then after that, go back to our project. So that's typical Monday, Tuesday. There's also some other things we're doing in between there. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll go through the cabins and restock supplies and take out trash. So summers is pretty like there's a schedule, except for like what I may be doing on my projects. But then Wednesdays are getting ready to mow. So the staff will work on mowers and do the routine maintenance for that, and golf carts, do routine maintenance for that. That's basically what Wednesday is, besides the other routine stuff that they have to do. So sweep and all and clean bathrooms and other things like that. When answer calls if there's a problem.
Yeah.
Um, Thursday, it's a good day. It's mowing day. Uh, Thursday, maintenance crew is mowing and trimming and just trying to get the grounds looking all good. And then Friday comes around, and that's finishing up mowing and maybe a slight project in the morning, but it's also cleaning day. Uh, any of you former summer staff know it's Friday cleanup, and it's a needs to be done, but it's a chore. So, but it needs to be done, and I have a pretty high standard for that too.
Absolutely. Well, you kind of have to, right?
Yeah,
Because when you have the next group coming in
yeah,
right on
yeah,
the heels of the other one,
that's right.
it's you got to be like, hey,
It's their first time. It's not
exactly.
their, well, usually their first time. There's some people who come to 2 weeks again, but
Well, even then, even if you have repeats from years before, there's always still that potential of
yeah,
that new incoming students. And
yeah,
like, we want this camp to be to its best
that's right.
every time,
That's right.
100%.
So that's typical schedule.
So, if any of you enjoy anything he just said, the camp is currently hiring for summer staff.
That's true. That's true. Maintenance,
You could be on the maintenance crew with Andrew.
we have some fun too. There's some you got to make it fun. Otherwise, it's a chore. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was maintenance crew back in the day.
Yes.
I,
Not with me.
not with you, no. But
I helped out maintenance for one day, and it was great. We sanded the fence around the volleyball court,
Oh yeah.
and we listened to Rich Mullins. It was great.
Oh man, old school. Nice.
And Petra.
Ooh,
I
was it
remember. No, it
old
was
school? Was it
the
first time?
playlist. It was my
Okay.
playlist, and then when it came on, you were like, "Oh man,
Oh, I
yeah,
love Home Petra.
yeah."
That my dad, when he was younger and minister, did not care for secular music, but he loves rock and roll. And so if you've heard Petra, it's just like, oh man, it's good stuff.
It's like if you don't know Petra, it's like Christian rock. What 80s,
80s, 90s.
80s, 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, it's good stuff.
it's like what would you call it? Like not as crazy Skillet, basically. More
Yeah,
like a calmer Skillet.
no, it's like hardcore as
Yeah,
such,
Skillet's definitely like hard rock.
but like it's definitely rock and roll.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah. But it's also not like it's not like David Crowder rock and roll, if you would consider David Crowder rock.
I,
Beginning Crowder.
okay, beginning. Okay, I was gonna say like, oh my god, I have a hard time classifying that with rock and roll. Uh, yeah, well, I think actually that kind of leads into something a little bit, like,
Yeah.
um, with that kind of extensive role that, especially Summer's highlight, um, that it can be challenging to kind of like prepare yourself to get ready for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What's something that you do to like help get yourself ready to face the day?
Great question. Uh, First and foremost is I roll out of bed. But actually, before I do that, because I hurt my back a few years ago, I actually stretch. Um, Otherwise, I can injure myself again. And while I'm doing that, I also pray. That's how I tend to start my day, and I think that's a good way to start your day. As far as like prepping for what I'm gonna do, I typically have a plan, and so it's just mainly making sure that that plan is ready.
Hmm.
So that would be getting materials that I need ahead of time, and um, people that I need ahead of time, or plan for when I can have the people to do that. Um, yeah, that's a it's a tough question.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
those are some basic ones for planning for what I would do. Summertime, oh man, it's prayer and rest. By week 4, you're already feeling it, and that's only halfway through the summer.
Yeah.
So rest when you can.
I was gonna say it's usually halfway when it like hits you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even halfway, we get a break,
Yeah.
but it's still just like, ooh. So, and like we were talking about, these are the first times these campers have been here. You have to treat them same way you treat week 1.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, rest is important. Summer staff. And for myself, I'm a night owl, so that's kind of hard for me as well. But yeah, try to get as much rest.
You mean we can't do 100-hour weeks?
We shouldn't.
I feel like that's definitely been yeah. Next question. Yeah.
Well, you tell me. What's the next question?
um, what is your favorite part about being the facilitator here at camp?
It's going to be interesting, but it's actually people not noticing. We talked about this once before. One of my favorite spots on camp is actually on top of the hill by my house, right by the slip and slide. Just kind of get an overview of the camp, most of the camp. And it brings me a lot of joy to look around and just see like everything's in order, everything's looking nice. No one's going to notice that it's not in order. And that's what I like. Um, it brings me a sense of joy that like I no one really notices that we take out trash every time unless we don't take out trash,
Yeah.
and then it becomes a problem. So it's those type of things. Like no one notices we clean the bathrooms every day until we don't, and then it
Mm-hmm.
becomes disgusting.
Yeah.
And so it's just those type of things. Like yeah, they're routine, but they have a purpose, and then it makes the camp look good, and it makes everything else run smooth. If things aren't running smooth on my end, that's going to affect the program, and I don't want that. I don't want my stuff to affect another camper missing out. And so, yeah, it's basically the behind the scenes stuff that no one sees.
I was just about to say it's like the behind the scenes. It's kind of like summer staff in general. It's like behind the scenes, but it's not like program where you're definitely in front of the kids, or it's
Yeah.
not even. I mean, even the kitchen is kind of behind the scenes, but it's also like the kitchen still serves the food, so they
Yeah.
just see the kids'
That's
faces.
a very important part.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Well, realistically, all the parts
I
are
would say
important,
all
but
categories.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the idea of that kind of almost like maintenance ninja kind of idea.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Because like, especially when there are people all over the place during the summer, especially
Yeah.
like in all different areas and all different aspects of the camp, to be able to sometimes even just clean up behind them can be challenging because they're always there. They're
Yeah.
always in a certain spot somewhere.
Yeah. It's sometimes challenging to mow because they're there. And it's just like, well, I need to mow. Okay, I'll come back.
We're like, okay, where's that time that I can actually like
Yeah.
squeeze in
Yep.
when they're
Yep.
somewhere else to be able to access some of those certain areas?
Yep. Yep. The campers and faculty will come first for that. Campers really will come first, and then it's faculty because
Camper faculty are with the campers.
yeah, they should be with the campers.
Keyword shit. We'll be with the campers.
They need to be,
They
right? And because that's why we have the faculty come in too, is to be the ones interacting with those students, to be
right.
the ones being able to kind of really share and dive in with them.
Yes.
And like in a lot of ways, especially with the camp staff role, it's more of like it's setting them up for success in a lot of
Correct.
ways.
That is a very accurate way to say it. Yes. I like that.
Speaking of faculty and kids,
You're just gonna
let's
plug everything today?
let's go to summer. You talked
Okay.
a little bit about your like what it kind of looked like daily in the summer. What is your favorite week of camp?
Oh, jeez.
The little laugh.
Jeez, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Well, see, look at everybody in trouble.
Um,
Don't take it personal,
Right?
guys.
Every week is his favorite.
I
Two,
I've always been a big fan of the Warsaw clan of fourth and fifth
fourth
grade.
and fifth grade. Those are really good week.
Um, Now the kids this past year were a bit rowdy. It was very messy, but the faculty were great, and they want to have a good week. And then probably just because I'm nostalgic, and I still have memories of going to this week of camp, would be junior high two.
Mm,
Typically run by North Liberty Deer Run people.
sure.
And I remember going to a week. I very, very vivid instances of it. It was back when Tim Stewart was running it, and he was talking about the rapture. And they would wake us up at like 3 a.m. and we would have a party in the dining hall because we got raptured into heaven. And the dining hall was supposed to be heaven, and Tim was standing. Probably wouldn't be allowed to anymore, but was
We're just adding that to the list at this point.
standing on top of the porch roof because he was supposed to be Jesus. And welcome, welcome. And then there was
That's so
also
funny.
one guy, I can very easily picture his face.
Yep.
He wore sunglasses the whole week. And he was supposed to be the devil, and he would come to you and try to get you to do things you were supposed to. And I have very, very fond memories of that. Um, and that was several years ago. But yeah, that would probably be my number two. I know you asked for the first one.
Well,
No,
fair.
I mean, like we said, every week can be your favorite.
Uh,
Yes.
I am grateful that they don't wake us up at 3 a.m.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm definitely grateful.
Honestly, I think you also kind of covered this a little bit too, but like stepping back from summer camp a little bit, kind of going more into retreat season, recognizing that all of a sudden that summer staff help that you would normally get during summer
Mhm.
isn't there in that off season. Like you mentioned, also you have a housekeeper as well that kind of comes in as well to help with some of those cleanings too. But
Yeah.
with that additional responsibility, kind of like thrust back at you, what does that look like then? Does that um
So
yeah,
here's the thing with the off season that's nice and not nice about the off season as compared to the summertime. Summertime just summertime, just like I was explaining earlier,
yeah,
is a bit more structured.
yeah,
Um, so off season is not so structured. So yeah, it's still on me to do, but I also don't have people radioing me 3 or 4 times a day.
that's true.
Um,
Well,
would it be nice if I had 2 or 3 summer staff? Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, we'd get a lot done. Um, but it's still manageable. So it's kind of the trade-off with it of
sure,
like since we do have retreats, but they're typically only on the weekends.
yeah,
Um, the only time we don't is really right after camp, and it's still, to me, still feels like camp season because
sure,
basically right after camp, we typically have Hope Ministries come in, which is a really cool opportunity. With the Hope Ministries in South Bend, they bring their homeless out and have a Hope camp, and a lot of those people have never been out of the city. And so it's fun here. And then right after that, we have Lovability out, which is a disabled crew, and they're here for the whole week as well. And that's a really cool program as well. They basically have it so that they are giving that person's caretaker time off, and then they're taking them for a time and giving them a little taste of camp. They get to go swimming. One of their favorite things is going swimming, which is typical for just about every camper.
It's true.
So yeah,
So kind of more like wrap up kind of questions.
yes,
Like you've been here almost 9 years. Oh, over 9 years now.
yeah,
Why camp?
that is a great question, and it's really hard to answer unless you've done it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. So yeah, I gotta give you some history here. So just like I've said before, I was a preacher's kid. My dad was a preacher at Buchanan
Yeah.
for a long time, so we came here quite a bit. And what happened with me and got me started in camp was the facilities guy at that time, my mentor, Ted Peasley, was looking for some help. And so he asked me and my best friend um, if we would come out after school and just trim. He was looking for some part-time help to trim. And I was like, sure, I could use some money. And that's literally what it was to me, was it was just a job.
Sure.
And so I would come out after school. I think my best friend only came out once. He was the studious one. He was the valedictorian. So he only came out once, but I came out about every week. And then eventually, towards the end of towards summertime, Ted asked me and approached me. I'm like, hey, do you want to work the summer with me? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I haven't thought of that. And I agreed to that. And Jim Matthews says it really good. It's one of the hardest and most stressful summers of your life, but one of the most rewarding and just filling times of your life as well. And so it's really hard, like not if you're not in it, it's really hard to explain. Um, so it just kind of best way I can say is it just grabs you, and to those certain people, myself, it just holds on and it won't let go. And so it's just I don't know what it is about camp ministry that I love, but I love it. Love it very dearly. Um, as you can see, I met my wife here actually.
Yeah.
A lot of people have. Not my, I need to rephrase that. I mean, a lot of people have met her because she's worked here for a long time. But what I mean by that is a lot of other people have met their similar, yeah, met their significant others here.
She will also be interviewed eventually.
Yeah. She has a lot more experience than I think the rest of us combined here. But
Yeah,
so
probably.
it was always my intent back then with Ted. I worked with him for a long time. I decided that I felt called into camp ministry. So I kind of stopped going, dropped out of college, went for engineering, um, and then decided I don't need an engineering degree to do what I want to do at facilities. And then I worked with Ted for a few years, and it was 100% the plan for me to take over for Ted after Ted. And things didn't work out that way, but it's actually for the best. Like it's interesting because in times of grief and heartache, you don't see it, but afterwards, you see where God's hand was, and it was definitely God's timing for when I got this position when I did. Because I was actually up for it prior, a few years prior to me getting it, and I did not get it. But it was actually a good thing because at that time I was at GameStop and I was moving up in the company. And so it gave me, and eventually I made it all the way up to a store manager, and it gave me that opportunity on how to manage people.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm grateful for that. And there was other things of the board got into a really we got into a really good place when I first got hired on. they were Donna Porter was working with them at the same time I was hired in, and they had it was really good for them. And so it was just like, wow, this is a really cool time. So answer your question on why camp, come work a week and you might understand.
Mm.
I do know it's not for some, but for those people, it gets you and it won't let go. There's just relationships here that you really won't make anywhere else. And I think that's going to be another question of like why Michiana, and it's the relationships.
Yeah.
There's just something about this place, and you'll hear that all the time. I don't know, it's God's place,
Mhm.
and He wants to build relationships. Um, so that's what's going to happen, and He wants to bring young kids, young people to Him, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, among the many special things about Michiana, um, that's like, but one of the like main ones is the lasting relationships. It's not like Michiana's not a one and done. Like when you come here, you stay with the people that you met here, you leave with them too. And that goes for students, that goes for faculty, that goes for staff, maybe even full-time staff. Like there are so many people who like they were my faculty when I was a student and I'm still in contact with them and now I'm faculty and so I can do the same thing to my students now. It's like a ripple effect.
Yeah,
It's like I'm faculty now and I'm with these students. These students will become faculty, then they will teach students
yeah.
and yeah, that's definitely one of the cool things about Michiana is the lasting impacts. It's not a one and done.
That's one of the sayings they have on the wall downstairs in the office.
Yeah,
Real relationships, lasting impact.
And to be able to be a part of it and to
Yeah,
be able to see it happen.
yeah. Now, I don't want to paint a picture that's all roses and stuff. It's not always that way, but it definitely good outweighs the bad.
Mhm. Well, and realistically, I think life's a lot like that too, right?
Yeah,
Like, as much as we want us to make it everything perfect and
yeah.
everything good and everything like, hey, it is sunshines and daisies. But like ultimately, we'll also go through some of those things too. And sometimes I think those relationships that we formed here help us through those things too.
That is 100% true. 100% true. Yep. Ooh, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
so come on out to Michiana, no matter your age.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that actually. Even the older adults, maybe not. Do a shorter week of
Second and
Well,
third.
Yeah,
Second and third.
there are definitely always ways to be able to step in and help to be a part of it too.
that's true.
There's 100% across the board
That's true.
that if you have talent to give or talent that you're willing to share, here's a great place to be able to put it to use
Yes.
and to make it
Yes,
go forward there.
absolutely.
Um,
Give me a call.
right, exactly. Uh, with that in mind, thank you, Andrew, for joining with us, for being a part of this, and for allowing us to take a bit of your time to share and learn more about from you about camp.
You're welcome. No problem. All about promoting Michigan. And if this is a way for you guys to get to know me, because I'm typically behind the scenes like I like it, there you go. That's me in a small nutshell.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for joining with us. We're glad that you were able to be a part of it. We appreciate your support. Again, if there's anything you can do, that we also help share this out as well, so other people can get to know Andrew a little bit more
Mm,
and a little bit more about this camp that we love to serve at.
yeah.
So thank you so much. Be sure to do the YouTube thing, like, share, comment, subscribe, etc.
Please comment.
Caleb likes comment.
I think the comments will be more useful than probably likes and
Yeah,
views, honestly, because you can just click on the video but then not actually watch it. So
any kind of form of engagement helps this video to continue to get out forward. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Uh, this has been us, the C4 podcast. Again, I'm Brandon,
And I'm Caleb.
and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Like,